Welcome to Treon's Realm. Today we're going to take a look at the physical version of the Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom for the Nintendo Switch. Now I'll be honest, I truly expected that 2023's Tears of the Kingdom was going to be the last original Legend of Zelda game for the Nintendo Switch before the successor to the Switch came out. But Nintendo both surprised and delighted fans by not only revealing another Zelda game earlier this year, but the fact that it was going to be an all-new game for the Nintendo Switch. Not only that, it was also the first time in the canon entries in the series that you were going to be able to play as Zelda herself. After putting some time in with the game, I gotta say, I'm loving it. It is a perfect marriage of both old school overhead Zelda, along with a lot of the creating items out of thin air aspect of Tears of the Kingdom, and the puzzle solving that comes as a result of that. A lot of people thought that the idea of Zelda not having a weapon directly, say like a sword or a bow and arrow, was going to limit the gameplay, but I've actually found it to be way more interesting and a cool mix-up to the series that I honestly did not see coming. I will say the way that it's set up, where you essentially summon enemies to fight for you, it has kind of some Pikmin DNA in it, which has been quite enjoyable and quite refreshing. So for example, let's say you're getting attacked by some enemies, you can whip out 3 or 4 keys and let them go house on the enemies. Meanwhile, you dodge and you can continue picking up items and searching the area while they fight for you. Not only that, the teleport points that you find within the game, they look a lot like the homes for the glow Pikmin in, I think it was last year's Pikmin 4. The graphics carry over the visual style of the 2019 remake of Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening, and they're beautiful. They're very well suited to this, and it's been quite enjoyable and pleasant to look at. Now, while there have been some complaints about the frame rate, I personally haven't run into as many issues with it, but as long as it doesn't impede gameplay, it generally doesn't bother me that much. But I could see where other people have issues with this. It is entirely possible that they may further refine it in the same way they did with Breath of the Wild and improve the frame rate over time. Another interesting aspect is the map that is being used for this game is an expanded version of the map that was used in games like A Link to the Past and A Link Between Worlds. A friend of mine recently used her 3D printer to craft a map for A Link to the Past for me and gave it to me for my birthday. So I figured I'd show it here and actually give you an idea of a little bit how it's expanded beyond the borders. As you can see here, this is the size of the map of A Link to the Past. And if we expand both the east and west side by a little bit, this is where Echoes of Wisdom expands out into. And there's also a little bit on the top and bottom that has been expanded as well. It's been quite interesting revisiting this map, recognizing a lot of areas while at the same time getting to see new stuff that they've expanded into. I think Zelda theorists are going to have a blast with this game because I personally have my theories of where this fits within the Zelda timeline of the series, but it's going to be really fun to see what they come up with. Now, when it comes to the physical version of the game clocks in at 5.5 gigabytes, which means that Nintendo used a 8 gigabyte cartridge. The current cartridge revision ends in 000 and has version 1.0.0 on the cartridge. Now, this was the version that reviewers used to play through the game, so it is completable without the patch, but there was a day one patch that dropped that upgraded the game to version 1.0.1, and that clocked in at a rather small 172 megabytes. While Nintendo didn't go into details on the patch, my guess is that because of the depth of the creation mechanic and the ability to layer items, there may have been some bugs that creeped up during the post-development process. Now, if the game goes on to do quite well, I fully expect that Nintendo will probably do another revision later down the road that will have this patch and any future patches on it. This happened with games like Link's Awakening and Breath of the Wild, but as far as I know, it hasn't happened with Tears of the Kingdom yet. So despite that game having some patches, I think Nintendo printed enough that they haven't had to print additional runs yet. Personally, as a longtime fan of the series who's been there since the very beginning, I am absolutely enjoying the hell out of this game. I never saw it coming, but I couldn't be more thrilled that it's here. It does have proper dungeons in it, which I know a lot of people were a little shaky on Nintendo returning to that, but I think with Ainuma's recent comments, we're going to see kind of in the same way that Mario has its 3D series and its 2D series, and they're kind of separated from one another, so they continue down their own path. I think a similar thing is going to start happening with Zelda, where we're going to have mainline 3D entries, and then in between we will probably see separate 2D ones that will get a bit more experimental with the old concepts. If you're at all interested in the classic Zelda formula, but been a little intimidated by the age and feel of the older games, I would definitely recommend giving this one a try. Have you had a chance to play Echoes of Wisdom yet? What are your feelings about the gameplay and the new concepts they introduced? Let us know in the comments down below. If this video helped you and you'd like to see more, please subscribe and hit that like button. Thank you for watching, and I'll talk to you later.